Thanks for pressing play. This episode is brought to you by my new book with the amazing Heather Clancy, Niche Down. If you would like to get the foreword, written by the incredible Hal Elrod, author of The Miracle Morning, go to nichedownbook.com and subscribe. As well, this episode, as always, is brought to you by our good friends at Oracle NetSuite. If you're ready to turbocharge your growth, go to netsuite.com/legends. Today, I'm lucky enough to hang out with Gina Bianchini. She's a pioneering entrepreneur in social networking in Silicon Valley. She has a very different point of view about how to build digital communities. She thinks the future is about creating legendary online niches that feel like awesome parties. We get her perspective on losery, and she puts on a master class of what it takes to be an evangelist CEO. All right. Hello, my legendary friends. The Ramon said, hey ho, let's go. And the dude said, hey man, careful, there's a beverage here. Welcome to an incredible episode of Legends and Losers. I'm so glad you're with me. How you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope things are working out for you. And I'm always curious where people check out Legends and Losers. Are you at the gym? Are you in your car? Do you have an earbud in while your spouse or kids or friends are talking to you, but you're ignoring them? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, thank you so much for checking out Legends and Losers. We try to cut through the bullshit to get to the good shit and have authentic conversations. And that is certainly what we have coming up with the incredibly high-profile, illuminating, eye-opening Gina today. Now, our founding sponsor, NetSuite, wants to help you move your business to the cloud. Cloud technologies can level the playing field for small entrepreneurs, startups who want to compete with, displace, and ultimately design and dominate new categories. NetSuite is the foundation for growth that allows startups to kick butt and play in the big leagues. They offer a complete business system for managing all aspects of your operations in the cloud. And for Legends and Losers episodes, for Legends and Losers listeners, they're offering a very special opportunity. Visit netsuite.com/legends, and you'll be able to book a time to meet with a growth expert in your industry, where you can talk about opportunities and barriers and how you overcome those barriers to kick butt in the cloud and drive growth in your business. Every company faces challenges as they grow, updating manual processes, replacing inefficient systems, getting a handle on cash flow. And a lot of companies, as you grow, you end up getting a bit of a Frankenstein monster of systems. With NetSuite, you can get rid of all those systems, and you can save time, money, and headaches by moving finance, sales, accounting, HR, and order management to the cloud. And NetSuite is surprisingly cost-effective. So check out netsuite.com/legends today to schedule your free growth discussion with an expert in your industry. Now, Gina Bianchini. She's an incredibly impressive entrepreneur. She was the co-founder with Mark Andreessen from Andreessen Horowitz, who, as you may know, was the co-creator of Netscape, and the creator of the browser, as we say back in the day. She co-founded this company with Andreessen called Ning, which was one of the very early pioneers in social networking. Today, she's the founder CEO of a red-hot company in Silicon Valley called Mighty Networks. I love the name of her new company. She's raised money from some of the smartest investors in Silicon Valley, and her company is off to a very, very impressive start. I also want to thank my good friend and guest on episode 11, Ann Miraco of Floodgate Capital, because Ann was the one who connected me to Gina. Gina's been on the cover, she's been featured on Charlie Rose, and she's been on the cover of Fortune magazine. And now here she is, Gina Bianchini on Legends and Losers.
Well, it's probably not particularly ladylike, but at the same point in time, I don't have a lot of time on this earth, and I want to nudge this software and this technology and the power of it in a direction that's a bit different for people that want something different.
What this will be a diversion, but sure. chase rabbits down zebra holes. What does ladylike even mean in 2018?
I don't even know anymore, but it does feel like, the classic line of, Ginger Rogers, where it's like, I did everything Fred Astaire did, backwards in heels. And if you just look at,
I hadn't heard that line,
oh
Gina.
yeah, it's
That's
a great line.
awesome.
I had a friend say to me, for example, she was like, the reality is that, you know, women have to thread the needle more carefully and narrowly than others, than men, and that's certainly true for, women of color and minorities in general. And I just look at it and it's like, do we have, like, I see in my head every morning when I wake up a vibrant, colorful, interesting, awesome world that, it's in its early days here at Mighty Networks, but like, we're not going to stop until we have offered, a whole set of people around the world the confidence and the ability to get up and running with a new kind of business, a new kind of organization where they can connect people in ways that are just simply not possible on Instagram, on Twitter, on Pinterest, and certainly on Facebook.
So
And that, to me,
really
is what we want
to
to do.
ask you about this. I mean, because when did you start Mighty Networks, Gina?
I started Mighty Networks in 2011.
So by 2011, one could argue, and certainly I would have argued, that the category as it was designed, let me say it that way, of social networking was done. We had a giant category king company in Facebook.
Yep.
We had some other social network niches that had emerged, of
Yep.
course, Twitter, and you mentioned Instagram, and I guess you could argue Snapchat, and, others. But,
yeah.
So those were kind of micro niches, but we had the Mac Daddy, and then we had some niches, big niches, albeit, but niche oriented. And we were probably pretty much done. And of course, it turns out I've been very wrong about that. And so I wanted to, let's go somewhere not mighty for a second. I was very surprised, by way of example, of the incredible success of Nextdoor. Are they sort of in a line with this ethos, or how might you think about them? And of course, I do want to get to Mighty Networks.
Sure, yeah. So here's what I would say. I am extremely fortunate that I picked this lane of niche networks, like way back in like 2004, 2005. So I had the incredible fortune of being able to imagine how social networks would evolve that is a different picture of the future than what actually has happened. And I hold that dearly because I believe that we need people around the world that basically say the present does not have to be the present. It does not have to be the future. And the crazy part about it is, Facebook's 15 years old. Like this notion that it is done. And it to me is just silly. Like, it's just silly and unnecessarily so. So not only is there Nextdoor, not only is there House, not only is there all of these really interesting brands that have emerged, again, with this filter of how do we bring people together around a specific niche or vertical, a specific lifestyle, really. I think we are just in the beginning stages of this. And when I look at the 1.0, and I really do think about Facebook as 1.0, it feels like it's been so long and it's so, overwhelming when you start to think about the numbers and the impact. But, does anybody get off Facebook and say, you know what, I'm better now?
I'm trying to remember when it changed for me. I would say it might have been as long ago as 5 years ago. It certainly would be at least 3 years ago. But I can remember being introduced to Facebook by my nephew, sort of thinking it was a stupid thing kids were doing. saying, okay, well, I'll go on to sort of just,
Yeah.
be in his world. And then, of course, it taking off and doing what it did. And then I remember for quite a period of time, in fairness to them, it was a very enjoyable experience. And I found it as a great way to have a light touch with people that maybe you
Right.
didn't see very often.
Mm-hmm.
And a fun place to be, add some silly shit, maybe a little bit of serious shit every once in a while. But it was a fun way to have a nice light touch.
Right.
But somewhere in the last 3 to 5 years, I don't know what you maybe you can tell me. I don't know what happened to the algorithm. I don't know what happened to their conflict with monetization, but my personal feed mostly fucking sucks, and I don't understand why it behaves like it behaves. And my personal level of enjoyment has gone down materially in the last 3 to 5 years. And then
Right.
we'll talk about what they're doing to businesses on Facebook, because I think it's unconscionable. I don't know what you think, but I'm really pissed at them.
Right.
But we can get to that in a second. So when did Facebook start to suck?
Yeah. Here's the thing. I almost think it doesn't really matter, because I think what really matters is that people are more interesting than Facebook presents them. And even as we think about all these new technologies like AR and VR and, what's happening in gaming and just this intersection of the real world and what's possible in, digital bytes. What I think is the more important thing that pioneers and people that are just like, no, I don't accept the status quo. The place to focus is actually on the positive reality that people are simply more interesting than the two-dimensional black and white, or in this case, blue and white 8-point font world that is being presented and is sucking up more and more of our time. So for example, I think Instagram is awesome. I think what Instagram is doing, the way that they are cultivating their network and the people that they are celebrating and highlighting are amazing. And it's a real testament to that team, despite the fact that they are, certainly integrated into a larger menace.
Could I interrupt you there, Gina? It seems to me, you tell me, you're the expert, but on the Instagram side, they're not fucking it up with monetization strategies the way they're
Correct.
fucking up Facebook with monetization. Is that
I think
there?
I think that that's part of it. I also just think that it was born of a different era, a different culture, a different DNA that thankfully has been preserved. I really do think that it is the bright shining star of what's possible in and with social media. I think that, for example, if that is the top of the funnel, or that's the introduction people have to interests and passions and all the things that make us unique as people, that is a fantastic introduction. And we look at Mighty Networks as like, well, great. So if you have that as the introduction, now imagine you go into a vibrant, colorful, rich world that is at its core run by people that can set something up and let it go and invite people in and let people experience and explore new ideas and new ways of interacting and new ways of being and new ways of making money and new ways of living. That is where we have the potential to take technology, and specifically social technologies, where its foundation is in a new kind of creator and leader and person that has the ability to bring together folks, to learn from each other, to inspire each other, to create a new world together. And to me, like, the difference between a feed that's whizzing by you and this new augmented reality that starts with interesting people telling interesting stories and then allows you to almost open the door into a party with like beautiful, beautiful, colorful chandeliers and performers and interesting people that aren't just standing around talking to themselves, but who come over to you and say, "Oh my God, yes."
Can I have the Ramones playing at my party?
Absolutely. That's the beautiful thing. You can have the Ramones and other people can have, Cirque du Soleil.
I love Cirque du Soleil.
You can have the Ramones and Cirque du Soleil.
Now that I would pay money for, Gina.
Right, exactly. And so, that's what we want to do is we want to be a bright, shining beacon of people's creativity, but not as an individual creator of like, that certainly some services that are out there saying, hey, YouTube star, charge for your video or whatever. I actually think that the real power and the real future, vision, and I love to talk about it and get made fun of around my office as like the vision of unicorns and rainbows, which is, again, this notion that the virtual manifestation of opening a door.
Have you been living on the West Coast too long, Gina? Is that
I hope so. I hope so. But it's true, I like what I love about California, with all of its many, problems and things like that, is I don't remember a day that someone didn't show up with a new idea or a new way of being or, absolutely, pretty gross natural food store 1970s frozen yogurt. And have it be a welcoming, let's play this out. And what I want for Mighty Networks is to be a platform that essentially takes that and scales it around the world, where somebody can come in and say, whatever the 2018 equivalent is of like absolutely disgusting natural frozen yogurt from like 1974, and scale that out into like what ultimately becomes Pinkberry or whatever. Like,
yeah.
That to me,
you want to be a place where crazy ideas and creativity can thrive.
Absolutely. And the crazier and more specific, in my experience, the better.
You mean to tell me it's good to niche down, Gina?
You know what? I think both you and I agree that is a very, very high leverage, as one likes to say, way of interacting.
And so, so maybe let's go there. Let's say
Sure.
Maybe I'm the CEO founder of another venture-backed startup in Silicon Valley,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe I'm what we lovingly refer to around here as a small-y entrepreneur, and I run a really highly differentiated, super awesome, cool bakery in Idaho.
Yep.
Regardless of the type of entrepreneur or CEO I am, what's your pitch to me? Why should I set up a Mighty Network?
Because you can create your own world outside the noise, the clutter, the distractions of mainstream social media services in a way that connects the people you care about and that you want to influence and inform and impact together in one place in an experience that is 10 times better than anything that's whizzing by in 1.5 seconds.
Now, why wouldn't I, this podcast writer world is a brand new world to me. I entered it 2 years ago when Play Bigger came out. And I thought, all this social media shit, there was all this cool ninja growth hacking stuff that you did on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and that was the way that you like acquired readers or acquired listeners or whatever the case may be. And that was the headset I came in thinking. And then I come to find out, yeah, all that shit's nice, but you know what the secret is to success? Build your email list. And I was like, what? You mean to tell me that I've been in business for 32 years, that this is all about direct marketing and now it's email versus snail mail, but there isn't some secret trick that if you do, I don't know what on Facebook that all of a sudden, but bam, you have this incredible. And so I guess this is leading me to a question, which is if the
think about your email list.
Yeah.
As a one-dimensional flat on a screen. Now imagine bringing it to life in a three-dimensional, colorful, interesting, engaging world. That is what a Mighty Network does.
And so I as an entrepreneur, or I as myself, you would say to me, hey, take your email list, set up a mighty network,
and invite them in.
And invite them in.
And it self-organizes, meaning that it's not going to be a lot of work for you. It'll connect the people on your email list to each other by, what they do or what they care about, the topics that are important to them, and their location. So we basically, because we're not worried about holding a bunch of stuff back, because we're an advertising-based business, we're not. We're a SaaS company. We want you as the podcaster, you as the ringleader, you as the master of ceremonies. We want you to create the absolute best party that you can for the people who are most important to you. And it's that you are going to get so much, just again to use, like if I don't use the occasional business buzzword, did I really get an MBA from Stanford? You have to ask yourself that question. So it's the way you are going to create a heightened, beautiful experience that brings legends and losers. Which, by the way, I was like, is there do people rate us at the end of this thing? Like which way do we go on this? What is happening here? So basically, the notion.
We made you think about it, didn't we?
Oh, totally. Like I brought my, I won't say my A game, but at least like an A- game. So basically, we let all the people that are passively listening to this become active contributors and connected to relationships and memorable experiences that bring what you are talking about to life. It's how we learn, it's how we tell stories, it's how we interact and engage with each other. And to me, it's taking a one-dimensional email list and turning it into a three-dimensional, circus of ideas.
So here's my fear, and it's a fear that was created primarily by Facebook. Which Facebook and Apple Podcast /iTunes, right? So when you're in a situation like I'm in, and I think a lot of not to compare myself to a CEO today, because I don't think about it that way, but if you're the CEO and you're trying to build true audience, true connection with your customers, your prospects, with your ecosystem, people who care about what you're up to, et cetera. The thing about having your own website, the thing about having your own email is, of course, you can control it. And I'll just say it out loud. Apple finds ways to fuck us. Facebook fucks us royally. The thing I find unconscionable, they tell all of us, hey, go build a page and get everybody to like that page. And these are people who raise their hand and say, hey, in our case, legends and losers, we like you, we like your shit, and we want your marketing, right? And in the beginning, when you put a post up, maybe you reach 30% of the people who said that.
You never reach 30%, but yeah, keep going.
But today, we'll put a fucking post on Facebook on our page, not our group, but our page, and we won't even get to 5% of the people who like the page. And then there's this giant fucking boost button saying, hey, we Facebook want you to pay us to talk to the people who said they want to hear from you. And so it leads me back to, and I think I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs about this in digital marketing, of course. They look at all these ways in which we've been fucked by social platforms, and they say the only way to get unfucked is to have our own email address. Yeah. And that because we
so let's talk
about these people. So
let's talk about
how do you think about this? Yeah.
I think about this a lot. So one stat to offer, just to validate everything you're saying about Facebook. Organic reach on a fan base is about 1% to 2%. So if you have 1 million,
how do they get away with this, Gina?
Because we're exhausted by, a feed whizzing by with an emotional roller coaster and the sense that we don't have agency. We absolutely can control what the fuck we do with our time and with our brands. And the other thing is, so here's a couple of different ways to think about it. So one, I just want to put this out there. Mighty Networks exists to support and grow the entrepreneurs who build their businesses or organizations on our platform. You own your data, you own the content, you own it. We are a software as a service platform that would not exist without the success and trust of our hosts. And that's super important to me as an entrepreneur. Like, we are not an advertising business. We are not using your data to advertise to your members. Your members are your members. So one of the things that we do in our low price but paid version is we give you an email list of everyone who joins your network. You get name, email list. Exactly. Because it's the right thing to do, dudes.
I mean,
it's the right thing to do.
And this is probably going to get me in trouble, but I don't give a shit. The I'm going to say assholes at Apple won't tell us who our subscribers are.
Right.
They won't even tell us how many we have. And look,
that's right.
I don't want to sound ungrateful. These platforms are incredible. They provide us access, distribution in a way that would not. But
the relationship between the creators and the curators and the people who are working hard to create something special, the relationship is not fair. It is a system that is not fair. And the only way to make it fair is by, exactly right, having your own email list, having your own website. But here's the wrinkle in that alone that we are looking to solve very practically with Mighty Networks, which is you can't bring a knife to a gunfight. So the network effect, the fact that you have in your Instagram feed that all these people who are contributing into your Instagram feed with interesting stuff, things that, are entertaining and inspiring and educational, like you learn something from it. You're like, oh, that was kind of fun. A static website that you build on Squarespace or WordPress is never going to get you that. So then we come back and in just a really demoralizing and disempowered way, you have all these people that are like, oh, well, everybody's already on Facebook and, my members of my group won't move over. That's bullshit. They will move over. But you got to give them something that's awesome. What is awesome? Your own network, your own place where people who are on your one-dimensional email list, instead of, opening your email, deleting it, and moving on to the next thing, or seeing your 1.5 seconds in their feed while they're, waiting in line for coffee, you have an opportunity to bring a gun to a gunfight and create a world that has the same expectations that somebody has on their overarching Facebook feed, namely the ability to show up, meet interesting people, see their contributions, ask questions, answer questions, participate in events, private message people, and have a great fucking time doing it. And so this whole notion...
Now we're talking, Gina. you talk my language.
So this notion that no one will leave social media is just simply, it's a false notion, because we just haven't had the services that, like Mighty Networks, that lets you get up and running with something that your members are going to love. And so I'll take this one step further. One of the things that we do that no one else on the planet does is allows you as a brand, you as a business, you as an organization to be up and running with your own native iOS app, your own native Android app, your own native, mobile web experience, and your own, web experience that can be branded all for you in a week. It's expensive, let there be no doubt, but like, you've done custom development before. It's 6 months, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and you get an iOS app that you put it out there and it's crickets. You're not ever going to have that experience on a Mighty Network.
And and correct me if I did my homework wrong, but my
Sure.
understanding is you allow me to aggregate folks and content from all sorts of different places, yes?
Yeah. And more importantly, it's not just, there's been all these aggregation services over the years that have all sort of come and gone. Like About.me was one. There was like that one from that super cool dude in New York, who I'm forgetting his name, this is not that. This is, how do you meet and build relationships and experiences and knowledge with the people who are in a network that have all raised their hand, just like they would go to a conference or a party and raise their hand and say, I care, I'm a craft hairdresser and I want to be the absolute best craft hairdresser in St. Louis, Missouri, and I want to be inspired by people all around the world. I want to learn new techniques from people all around the world. I want to be a member of this tribe because I'm going to bring my art and I'm going to bring this community and this vibe and this culture to my practice, my clients in St. Louis, Missouri. That is the very practical application of what it means to have your own network effect, your own network that gets more valuable the more people who join and participate.
And so is your vision, of course I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm curious, that just like if we roll the clock back to say 95-ish, where there was this moment in time where everyone went, holy fuck, we need a website, right? And I was on the founding team at Scient back in, as we say now, back in the day, right? And when you're a big bank and you realize, shit, I don't have a website, I need one, bam. Is your vision that people are going to wake up and go, you know what? Just like we needed a website in the 90s, we need a personal, is that what you call it, a personal network, or how should I think of it?
We think about it as your own network effect. And the reason I very carefully use the term network effect, because one, it is a phenomenon that has built every massive brand that we use today. If you don't have a network effect, the idea that you're going to be a brand in 10 years is probably living in a false reality.
And to sort of drive that network effect, part of it is me marketing. So if you think back in the 90s, hey, I have a website.
Right.
Or today, hey, I have a Facebook, Instagram, fill in the blank presence.
Yeah.
But the other part of it, of course, is the serendipity of discovery. And to your point on Facebook and all the other big platforms, I go there because that's where everyone else is. So
so let's talk about that. I love that you asked me that question. So first of all, if we go back to 1995, go back 2 years prior, everybody was on AOL, CompuServe, and Prodigy. And no one ever thought...
Which one were you on?
I was on AOL.
I was on CompuServe. My very first internet email address was that long CompuServe number.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because you had your identifier, 46732, whatever it was. It was like an inmate number or something.
Yep.
And then they took that number and they just put an @ sign in front of it, CompuServe.com, and that was my first email address.
Amazing. So part of what happened in that transition was, everybody thought that, AOL and what they offered in their walled garden was like, that was it. That was going to be the internet. It was the power of and the flexibility of being able to have essentially the building blocks of HTML and then JavaScript and then these languages that allowed you to mix and match into, in those days, really expensive websites. Today, you can be up and running with a beautiful website for $16 a month. We think the same thing is going to happen to a network effect. And again, this is social networks. The category of social networks is defined by the category king, which is Facebook. We're talking actually about something quite different. This is not, hey, this is a different social network. I don't think we're going to have a different social network. I think what we're going to have are 1 million networks that are for every conceivable interest, passion, goal, lifestyle, medical condition, and more important to this, and this is the thing, Chris, that just gets me so fucking jazzed, is that today where we have this creator just doing some really cool stuff where they're like making awesome YouTube videos or Instagram stories, this next generation of business owner, this next generation of leader, entrepreneur, little e entrepreneur, they are going to create a new network. They're going to create a new world. They're going to create an immersive experience with people that are dying for connection, meaningful experiences.
It's so powerful.
And that is what we're doing at Mighty Networks. We're small but mighty today, man, but we are building the basic foundation for a world that elevates and celebrates a curator, the person that is saying, I want to create something for the people around me that is deep, meaningful, vibrant, colorful, and fundamentally different than a feed whizzing by. And that is why we exist.
And I love your passion about it because I think the E in CEO stands for evangelist. So I love all
Probably
that.
true.
Just coming right out of you. But maybe even, well, not more importantly, but as importantly, if you had said this to me 3 years ago, I'm not sure. Let me say it this way. I wouldn't have been able to get there mentally as
Yeah.
quickly as I am now. I now believe, and it's, it's why Heather and have written Niche Down. I don't know if you had a chance to read Kevin Maney's book, Unscaled. People are going to just kill me because I keep talking about it. But I really do believe we're in a world where the technology is tilting the advantage to the small and nimble as opposed to the old and rigid. And that we're going to see more and more companies and more individuals, in Kevin's phrase, on scale, and in our phrase, niche down. They're similar ideas to do exactly what you're talking about. And the thing that's so exciting from a creativity point of view, from an entrepreneurship point of view, is there are now ways to create opportunity for oneself that heretofore weren't available.
Right. And I want to take that even one step further. So this is a nuanced point that is we don't have a name for this yet. Well, we have an internal name, but I don't think it's something that is ready for prime time, but I'm going to talk about it anyways, which is today the new little E entrepreneur is making videos and building a follower base where they have to do all the fucking work. Where it's like, if you wake up one day and like you got a big zit on your face, or like, you had a bad night and you fought with your, boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, you still have to get up that next day and you have to deliver a performance to people. And here's the secret. I think the next great movement of little E entrepreneurs is going to be, how do I set up a party that's fucking awesome? And then I can decide how long I want to stay. I can leave, I can come back, I can like go upstairs, I can come back down, and the party is raging because I have set it up around something that's passion based for people, that's a niche that they understand what they are going to contribute when they show up, and that the value is not the performance that I'm giving, it's the party that I have created.
Yeah, it's a new kind of connectedness.
Exactly. And if a little E entrepreneur is able to create that new kind of connectiveness, guess what? There's a hell of a lot more people who are phenomenal at creating that kind of connectedness than there are who are wanting to perform.
Yes. Yes.
And the performers are going to be first, and like they're going to bring their fans together and show them love by bringing them into a place that's fucking awesome, the Cirque du Soleil of virtual experiences. But what I love is the fact that anywhere, anytime, someone can be up and running as long as they've got an idea that sparks creativity and imagination, and that they can put on a party.
Yeah.
Anybody can put on a party. Not everybody can be a performer.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious, and share what you're comfortable with.
Sure.
With me, but sort of give me some color on where the business is in growth. I know you've raised some amazing, you have some amazing venture capital partners, but give me a sense of where the company is on its path.
Yeah, we are growing pretty fast month over month with no, I think this is the first conversation I've had outside the building, it feels like, in probably 6 months.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because as I was doing my homework on you, I didn't see a lot of, recent PR. Like the last stuff I've seen is really
I keep meaning to do it, but then I'm like, oh my God, like what? So we have actually a community on Mighty Networks of our hosts, and we call them hosts. They're like our creators. And again, we call them hosts because they're hosting a great fucking party and getting paid for it, by the way. And so we have 30% of our active Mighty Networks are in this community. And so I spend most of my time in this community because it's super fun and we're all like going deeper on stuff. And I will tell you just from my own personal experience as a, little E entrepreneur, connecting your customers and your people to each other is the most meaningful thing and the most gratifying thing that I have ever done, and I will continue to do. So anyways, that's a long-winded way of saying I haven't been like out of the build. I think I said this to my team. I'm like, the fact that I'm sitting in front of my computer in the back of a room where it's like the lights are low and it's like, basically I've been back here for like 6 months, I should probably get out more. And so by the way, they agreed with me on that.
I hate to interrupt you, but I mean, you feel very much like a natural evangelist. Like you got to go and tell the world.
Absolutely. Right? So I am so fortunate because whenever I question, like, are we doing the right thing? Is this the right thing to do? Like, are we too early? Like all the things that happen in your brain. I go into Mighty Hosts and I'm like, oh no, this is happening. So we have doubled revenue in 6 months. We have, and the reason I use revenue as opposed to like all the usage metrics, because those are growing too, they're growing exponentially at this point, is if we are building a platform for little E entrepreneurs, and especially a new breed of little E entrepreneurs who are able to host an absolutely amazing party as opposed to just build an audience, then we need to support ourselves. I never want to be in a position where I am asking someone to bet their business on our platform, to your point earlier, and that's why we give all of the data back. We make it as transparent as possible.
Seems right.
It's the right thing to do.
If you go
it's
back
the right thing to do. Yes.
If you go back to the web analogy, the reason entrepreneurial businesses, the reason major banks, et cetera, back in the 90s felt comfortable building quote unquote .coms was they controlled it.
Yes. Right? We want that same feeling and that same reality to be true on Mighty Networks. So for example, every member of a Mighty Network, of your Mighty Network, for example, 100%, you have 100% access to them, as opposed to the 1% or 2%, of all the people that you get on Facebook. So you're paying Facebook to acquire fans that then they will charge you more money to reach those fans. That's just silly.
Fucking mind-blowing.
I know. So we take a very different approach. So as part of that, we charge. We have a free version, but to get all the goodness, we charge, and we unapologetically charge, because we are building this platform for the wild success of the hosts, of the little E entrepreneurs who are moving from being performers to being curators and phenomenal hosts. So that's working. That is working.
I think you got me fired up, and maybe after we're done, you can hold my hand and sort of walk me down the path for how we do this for Legends and Losers.
Absolutely.
Now, I want to dig into your past a little, so if we could move to a slightly different area. We invented this word around here to make failure sound more fun than it is. We call it losery. And you've been a pioneer in networking, social networking, for a long time. How do you think about Ning today?
I am incredibly proud. I'm proud of what we built. I'm proud of the people I worked with. I am proud of the energy and excitement we were able to create around this notion of having your own social network for anything. And I think we made one fundamental error, which was we thought it was an advertising business when it was what we are at Mighty Networks, which is a software as a service company that is here for, that serves at the pleasure of our hosts and has one goal, which is to make them look absolutely fucking fantastic to the people that they bring into their network and the world that they are creating online and in the real world around their brand, around their interest, around their niche. So in the grand scheme of things, I don't think that that's too bad. It did not seem at the time that, that you were going to create a SaaS business from social technologies. And yet, and that is what we were. And that is what has really, at times that look challenging or dark for Mighty Networks. What brings us through is the fact that we know that there are people all over the world that should be elevated as hosts of amazing virtual and real world parties, and that class of and that breed of entrepreneur and that breed of business owner and organization is why we exist. And that's what I learned at Ning, and I knew at that point in my life and my career that this was an area this was the lane I picked, and I was never going to do anything different. And if Mighty Networks went away tomorrow, I would still find a way to bring communities together, not in like the touchy-feely, this is such a great community, or the way that new online services and direct-to-consumer businesses have really bastardized the term community. Like the idea that Facebook uses the term community to describe their user base is offensive to me, because there's nothing about Facebook that is a community. I as much as I like Airbnb, I don't think it's a community. I just don't I want to preserve and reserve community for something very specific, which is a vibrant, connected, meaningful experience amongst people who truly treasure and value each other. And
look, if you tell me what's fair and not fair.
Sure.
Is it fair to say that Ning didn't turn out the way you wanted it to?
I don't know. I don't know if that's fair to say. And here's why. I don't know if there's any value in looking backwards. I don't know if there's any value of saying what if it would have continued? Where would it be now? What would it look like? I don't know. Would we be able to do what we're doing today at Mighty Networks if it had continued? I don't know. But what I do know is that I am incredibly proud of the team that I am working with today. I am incredibly proud of the fact that after Ning, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, what do I want to do with my life? What's important to me? And it wasn't whatever the hot kind of startup was at that moment in time. I probably could have raised a significant amount of money if I had chosen to go into, a subscription shoe business at the point in time that I was starting Mighty Networks. And that was not true to me. I don't follow hot trends. I just don't. That's not who I am.
What I love about you is just this tenacity, right? That you are on a very similar mission, and you're doing it, I don't know, is it for the second time, third time?
Second time.
And so I want to talk about that a little bit, because at the time of sort of Ning's, there was a moment in time where it felt like you were the it entrepreneur in Silicon Valley. Your face was everywhere, of course, deeply associated with the company, deeply associated with your high profile investors. And you were the it entrepreneur, the it gal, however you want to think about it. And then, that thing didn't end, in the celebrated way, let me say it that way, that a lot of people were forecasting it might.
Yeah.
How does one go from being the it person in Silicon Valley to being not the it person in Silicon Valley, and then go back and sort of redo your mission in this new context like that?
Yeah. Chris, you're one step away from calling me a has-been.
Well, no, what I am saying, no, it's okay. I'm a never was. What I am saying, though, is, it's sort of the mantra of the show. You can't be a legend without being a loser, and we all learn a lot from failure. But you had this all go down publicly, and you've risen back up, so to speak. So tell me about
Yeah.
that a little bit.
So here's the first thing that I would say, that there were elements of the Ning story and elements of the Ning dynamic that had absolutely nothing to do with the power of the idea or the power of the business or our customers or things like that. And I take that with me. And what I would say is that I never found myself particularly comfortable with a, high profile or whatever that is. It allows you to get more stuff done faster in some respects, which is great. But when I left Ning and I looked at myself in the mirror, I knew what I wanted to do. I have not spent a lot of time thinking about, oh gosh, I used to be this, now I'm this. That's not important to me. What is important to me is to do whatever I can do to elevate and celebrate a new kind of entrepreneur, a new kind of, our customers, a host. That is what gets me up every day. That is what actually makes it possible for me to stare in the face of somebody. And it's been really interesting. In the last 3 weeks, I've been in multiple meetings where I don't know if it's that some of these folks, primarily investors, have been watching too many episodes of Billions. But like it's almost like they're coming at me with like, so Ning was a failure. Like, so how do you feel having failed at Ning? And this is typically in a room of people. It's not particularly pleasant, but here's what I would say. So first of all, I'm thinking to myself, despite smiling to this person or these people, it's happened twice, which is really weird. Fuck off. And second of all, I'm thinking, I know my customer and I know what I am here for. And I would not trade that for the world. I love robots. I don't want to build a robot business. I think what's happening in computational biology is absolutely amazing. And I think what's possible with cryptocurrencies and what's happening on the planet is fucking rad. And I know that the thing that I want to nudge the universe towards is a new kind of living and way of making money, building incredible connections between people and memorable experiences that are only becoming possible now. And if that gets me on, covers of magazines, that any of the surviving ones, great. And if not, I don't care, because what I care about is making my hosts, my customers, the people who are building their communities and businesses on top of Mighty Networks as wildly successful as possible, and to be the very best version that I can possibly be with all the talents that I have, as well as all the shortcomings. And as long as I'm doing that, I can sleep really well at night and wake up excited to come into my office with my team the very next day. And not very many people on the planet can say that.
Yeah. I'm reminded as you speak, my buddy Eddie Yoon, who you would love, probably needs to have a Mighty Network. He's the category guru to the Fortune 100 kind of consumer companies, and he wrote this amazing book called Super Consumer.
I'm on a podcast, Brian. Go ahead and get started without me.
You're not on a podcast. You're on fucking Legends and Losers.
Oh, excuse me. Hey, Brian, yeah. I'm on fucking Legends and Losers right now. Yeah. So if you could just get started on that call, that'd be great.
Anyway, he makes the distinction, Gina, between missionaries and mercenaries. And that sooner or later...
I wonder what category I fall under.
Yeah, really, right? I mean, you are clearly I will crawl through flaming glass kind of
Yeah.
missionary.
And I want to be super clear. I make it almost sound like it's a negative. Sometimes people come back to me and they're like, wow, you have such grit. Like, I can't believe how much you've persevered. As if like I'm just crawling through shit. I'm not. Like, I actually am inspired every single day because my customers, my people, they're building new worlds. They're creating experiences that are memorable and meaningful and important to the people that they bring into their mighty networks. Who else gets to say that? That's fucking awesome. So I want to be really clear that you can take on hard challenges, but with joy, like with a smile, and with knowing that if some small part of what we're doing as a team means that frozen yogurt is going to come out of the natural food store and into something that's delicious and awesome and what we all do and eat after school. By the way, I think that's a really random example, but I'm just going with it. Then or like organic foods, like the idea that like organic foods is something that we all take for granted when it was a small tribe of people in various places coming out of the 60s counterculture. Those are the people I want to be like. And so this notion that it's like I'm crawling through shit is just simply not true. I get to do something I love absolutely, positively, without question, every single day. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yep. That's very obvious. Now, there's 100 other things I'd love to talk to you about, but I also want to be super respectful of your time. So how much longer do I have you?
You probably have me for like another 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So why don't I just ask you this? Is there anything else you want to touch on, Gina?
No, this has been great. I think if anything, what I love about this conversation, Chris, is that you see it, I see it, our tens of thousands of active, hosts see it, which is we are right on the cusp of something new. We are right on the cusp of something that we can all start to see, but is still totally not clear, which is what does this world look like when a little e entrepreneur can create their own network effect, build something that people are like, oh my God, this is awesome.
And it's really hard to do right now. It's very hit and miss. You got websites and podcasts and blogs and
that is what we are here with Mighty Networks to change.
Well, Gina, I love your passion, your enthusiasm. I also, your tenacity as an entrepreneur. It's incredibly inspiring. And I'd love some help with getting a mighty network going for Legends and Losers.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Be legendary, my friend, as I know you will.
Thank you.
Whew! Man, if she can't get you fired up about her vision, I don't know who can. Is there somebody in your life who would be inspired to hear about Gina's vision for the future of networking? And even if you're not really interested in the future of networking, as I said off the top, she puts on a master class of how an entrepreneur, how a CEO can be an evangelist for their point of view. If you know someone, why not email it to them right now? You can do that right from your smartphone or tablet. And we'd love it if you shared this episode on social media, and we'd also love you a little bit extra if you wrote a quick review of Legends and Losers on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you experience Legends and Losers. All right. We would like to thank the good people at Mighty Networks. This is the place where creators of all kinds can build legendary niche communities. Check them out at mightynetworks.com. The good people at Verve Coffee. They're the leaders in West Coast craft coffee, and they're the official coffee of Legends and Losers. You can check them out in Santa Cruz, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Tokyo, and always at vervecoffee.com. Our new book, Niche Down, How to Become Legendary by Being Different. The book launches in July 2018. Check out nichedownbook.com. Subscribe today and get the foreword from Hal Elrod for free in your inbox. The good people at onelifefullylived.org. dream, plan, and live your best life. Our new spin-off of Legends and Losers. It's an incredible audio experience where we take snippets from Legends and Losers and combine them with music. Subscribe anywhere you love podcasts. 6 minutes of legendary with the amazing Nick Cullen. And speaking of podcasts, a podcast I love from the nicest man in podcasting, Jamie J. Stop Riding the Pine, and the incredible work of Kiva.org. If you care about spreading entrepreneurship around the world, microloans can make a giant difference. Check out Kiva.org. All right, I need to remind you that this oddcast is the sole property of the Legends and Losers Oddcast Network, and we would love you just a little extra if you shared the shit out of it. All rights do remain disturbed. We must warn you that this oddcast is clearly produced in a studio that does contain nuts. Teach entrepreneurship, practice community building. As David Lee Roth said, I don't feel tardy. I love you, Mom and Dad. Thank you so much, Dandy Candy. And hey, Colin, this oddcast really ties the room together, doesn't it? Today, our deepest apologies go out to Harvey Weinstein. Sorry, Harv, we just ran out of time for you. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for spending this part of your life with us. I deeply appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you again soon on Legends and Losers.